I'm Deane, and it's time for some real talk about gun safety. All areas of our communities are feeling the impact of gun violence. We see it in altercations, domestic violence, and mass shootings, and it's permeating our headlines. And it's costing us $557 billion a year. That's 2.6% of the U.S. GDP. But one group is leading the charge for safer communities. Everytown for Gun Safety was formed in 2013 and has 10 million supporters helping with its mission. They range from experts and politicians to regular citizens who want to help promote change. Everytown knows that it takes all of us to promote and advance gun safety. The organization works with communities at a grassroots level to provide education and policy advocacy. I spoke with their senior director of research to learn more about how Everytown is creating safer communities. Sarah, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So, can you tell us a little bit about Everytown?
Sure. Everytown is the largest gun violence prevention organization in the U.S., and we have a grassroots army of tens of thousands of people in every town in this country really looking to prevent deaths and injuries and gun violence.
And where are we seeing successful, gun safety measures in America right now? Are there spots in the country where you all are pleased with?
Sure. Just to start by sort of laying the groundwork, there's an average of 43,000 people killed with guns every year. That's about 120 deaths every day, day after day. And then, in addition to those deaths, over 200 people are shot and wounded. So that just gives a sense of the magnitude of this problem that we're really trying to work on. That said, that 2023 has brought some really hopeful news, which is that police data from 200 cities across this country is showing that murders are down 12% from last year. And that's pretty much what criminologists are saying is the largest single year decline in history. And that represents, over 1,000 fewer deaths last year. So that is some good news.
Yeah. Now, when we look at that, are there any specific areas that you all are noticing that's improving more than others?
So overall, that improvement occurred both in really big cities like New York and LA, Chicago and Philly, and also many cities that had the highest murder rates previously. So Baltimore, Detroit, Louisville, New Orleans all had fewer murders in 2023 than in 2022.
And when we talk about a successful gun safety measure, what does that look like? And, what is working right now and what's also getting in the way of making sure that we have these measures in place?
So I think one of the most important things that's working is gun safety laws. And we did an analysis of the gun safety laws in all 50 states, and that's about 50 laws altogether. And we found really clearly that the states with the strongest gun safety laws, and I can, say which they are, had far, far fewer gun deaths than those states with the weakest laws and with none of the sort of core laws that we really need to make sure that we keep guns out of the hands of people who are prohibited from having them.
And what are those states?
So the 8 states with the strongest gun safety laws are California, New York, Illinois, Connecticut, Hawaii, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Maryland.
Wow. And when, as we're talking about this, one thing comes to mind, a lot of times when we talk about gun safety, it becomes this really big political issue. Should gun safety be a political issue or is it just a community issue?
I mean, if you look at the data around the country, you can see that it affects all of us, right? It's in rural areas and cities. It's in the north, the south, the east, and the west. It's in our schools. It's creating a huge amount of stress for, young kids in this country. I think it's pretty clear to me that this is not an issue that needs to be, part of our polarized country. It's an issue that we all need to think about. What can we do, from where we sit, each of us, to reduce the toll of this epidemic on our communities?
And how can we all work together, whether it's people in the community, people in the media, law enforcement, whomever, what can we all do to advocate for gun safety and safer communities?
Yeah, and you know, you're right. All of us have a role that we can play. So to start, gun owners and responsible gun owners know this, need to securely store their guns, which means all of their guns need to be unloaded, locked, and separate from their ammunition. That's kind of the start. A second thing that ripples out from that is that we have to make sure that, for instance, if our kids go over to somebody else's house for a play date, that we just ask the question, do you have guns, and if so, are they stored securely? That's a second sort of layer. Then a third layer is education and awareness. So like doctors play a role in this, gun sellers, local government, community organizations have to make sure that everybody understands that if you own a gun, you need to store it securely. Not storing it securely contributes to almost once a day a kid in this country under 18 gets their hands on a loaded gun and shoots either themselves or someone else. That's preventable, and it's preventable if we take a role. So those are some of the things that we as ordinary people in this country can do.
Yeah, and thank you for those tips. That's really important, like you said, to ask those questions, especially if you have children. Like, hey, my kid's going over your house, but I would like to know, what's happening over there. I think that's really, really important. And as we look ahead, as we continue to talk about gun safety and all of that stuff, what are some of the initiatives that Everytown has in place? What are you all working on right now?
So we're working on all of those things that I just talked about. We're working on helping families have those conversations. We're working on education and awareness. And as the director of the research team, research to help us know what solutions work the best. And what I've been working on a lot is trying to look at the states that have strong laws in place, like storage laws that hold gun owners accountable for securely storing their guns, but also like extreme risk laws where you can petition the court to temporarily remove guns from somebody if they seem to be a danger to themselves or others. And that's only, loved ones can do that, or law enforcement can do that. So we're working actively to make sure that lawmakers understand that there's strong research that supports these laws as saving children's lives, reducing the kind of school shootings that are really terrorizing us in this country, reducing mass shootings, and also really reducing suicide with a gun.
Yes. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. But before we go, I want to leave you with the final word. Anything else that you want to add?
I guess the final word I want to say is that one of the reasons why violence has really gone down in cities is because of local violence intervention programs, working with at-risk youth in particular to support them and to see, what are the root causes and to give them access to more opportunity so that they have, places to be, things that are meaningful for them. And so community violence intervention programs are a really important part of the good news of 2023.
Wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for the work that you all do at Everytown. And thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much again to Sarah for joining us and sharing those insights. Visit everytown.org for more information and how to get involved. That's all the time we have for this Real Talk. You can find more of my full interviews on the Advocate channel. Download our app in the Apple or Google Play Store to stream us live, and you can even subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Deane, and I'll see you next time.